Thank you for listening to this PodcastOne production. Now available on Apple Podcasts, PodcastOne, Spotify, and anywhere else you get your podcasts.
The Steve Austin Show is brought to you free today by our friends at BetOnline. Get in the mix at betonline.ag and use the promo code PodcastOne for your 50% welcome bonus. BetOnline, your online sportsbook experts and exclusive partner of PodcastOne Sportsnet.
PodcastOne presents the Steve Austin Show Classics.
All right, Joey Coco Diaz has just rolled into 317 Gimmick Street. It's been a long time since I've seen you, man. How are you?
Man. You look beautiful. Great to see you. Finally, everybody's going to be happy on the internet. We finally got the chit-chat. Because I always tell stories from the movies, and they always hit me back. You guys got to get together so you can exchange some stories and stuff. So here we are.
I know, here we are. It's daytime. You used to podcast at nighttime.
At nighttime.
Am I throwing you off schedule?
No. I could talk shit 24/7. It's just we live in a different world now, as we were talking about, that they call you with auditions late. You know, people don't understand the traffic concept here. But you have to learn it. And the traffic concept is, if I have to be at Steve Austin's at 12, I have to leave my house at 10:30, even though the thing says an hour, okay? Even though it says an hour, you still got to leave at 10:30. And even though I'm a thief and I take the HOV lane, I put a hat over my daughter's from car seat, you know me, Doug. I'm not sitting in that line. But it adds to the day. So everybody calls you all day going, hey, I'm 10 minutes late. In reality, they're 20 minutes late. Then they get there. They got to get their head together. Your whole day is like that. You know how it is on the other side of the coin.
Oh, yeah. But, dude, I get it. It's like when I leave for something, if I got an appointment, a meeting, whatever it is, man, I leave early. And I'll get on, the damn thing on my iPhone. I'll push in. It'll say it's going to take like 56 minutes. Just yesterday, I was in Universal City. Hell, man, I left an hour and a half in advance. And my wife says, man, you're going to get there way too early. I said, I don't care. I said, I'll sit in my damn car and just get on my iPhone, check emails, call somebody up. I'll fiddle around. I'll do whatever I got to do. But one thing I won't do is walk in that room late.
Yeah.
I'll be early. But like you said, I think, you were talking earlier before we started rolling sound, as you were trying to get adjusted. You said like some people, it's funny when you roll into the podcast and say, hey, man, I got kind of tied up, but I can give you 20 minutes.
You're like, what'd you come down here for? You should have told me. I would have talked by myself for an hour.
Hey, man, we could have done a phone call for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
You just wasted my time and yours.
So that's why I usually do them at night. My weeks with a child, add a 5-year-old to the mix when you want to be involved. Because there's two types of parenting. I was a parent once earlier, and I wanted to go out and do what I wanted to do, and that's why that child doesn't speak to me today. So I had a second chance. So now I do it by the letter. Because why do it if you're not going to do it right? I got a second chance, Steve Austin. So there's the other thing. But no, I'm just happy to be here with you. For years, I've been telling this, the funniest story ever that I was thinking about on the way here is they put us up at a hotel when we shot The Longest Yard in 2004 called the Hotel Santa Fe. But when you walked in, there was an Indian dude that they paid to play the flute. That's it. A soft Indian flute. Ooh. And you're sitting at the bar, whatever. I don't know what happened. One day that guy disappeared and never came back. And I asked the front door lady one day, what happened to the Indian with the flute? And she goes, ask your friends from The Longest Yard. So somebody told me somebody picked them up one night. Like, I think it was Kevin Nash. Must have picked them up and spun them around. And the Indian said, I'm not going back there ever again.
Man, that was a wild bunch.
That was a wild bunch.
Did you enjoy the movie?
I enjoyed everything about the movie. The problem with that movie was it was the first good thing that ever happened to me in 10 years. So I kept walking around like a brick was going to fall on my goddamn head. I was waiting for the set to fall on me. Or did you read the book of Rudy Tomjanovich? You know who Rudy Tomjanovich is.
Oh, yeah. He used to play for the Houston Rockets. He's a successful coach.
He read the book. If you read that book, he speaks about going into the L.A., whatever they played in those days, that the sign was over you. And he would look when he would be played and go, one of these days, that sign's going to fall down. The night Kermit Washington punched him, he woke up. He goes, what, did the sign fall down? You know, that's how I walked around. Like, I thought that something was going to happen. Like, this is I'm talking to Steve Austin. I'm talking to Kevin Nash. I'm sitting next to the guy from Warriors. On this side, I got Burt Reynolds talking to me like I've known him for 20 fucking years.
Yeah.
You know, not just an hour. At the table read, 20 years. Like, we're talking like, how you doing? What's going on? What's going on? Have you gotten a piece of ass lately? And then the lady shows up and takes her tits out at the table read. The old lady that was in the movie, the only woman in the fucking movie, she took her titties out.
She did?
Her flapjack 80-year-old tits, picked them up at the table read, and that's how I knew at the table read. I go, this is no bueno. First of all, I'm not ever going to lie to anybody. When they called me to go to the table read that Tuesday, I had $35 cash. That was it. No money in the ATM. I had a half a pack of cigarettes and 3 joints. I gave a $5 to the limo driver that drove me to the table read. I had 30 cash, 7 or 8 cigarettes, and 3 joints. I didn't know what was going to happen. That's the truth. My wife didn't have any cash. I had no money. I had $35. That was all I had in this planet. I didn't have a ring to pawn. And I went down there, and I'll never forget at that lobby, they gave us an envelope when we checked in. I took it upstairs, and it was paperwork. But in that envelope was $800 bills and keys to a truck. I didn't even have a license. I had a license, but I didn't have a license. Like, I had a license in Colorado. I lost it. I didn't even have a license. I'm driving around Santa Fe, beeping, vote for me, giving people the finger. Like, is this real? I smoked a joint on the balcony the very first night. Like, and the door guy comes and knocks, and he goes, listen, they smelled weed downstairs. Be careful. He goes, I got to tell you, it smelled like pretty good stuff. I go, do you know anything about it? He goes, oh, yeah. I got weed downstairs for sale. Come to the front. I went down. I bought a bag of weed from the Little Bellman. That was my first day on the set. That was my first day. Like, I didn't know anybody. I knew Michael Irvin from the Best Damn Sports Show. That was it.
And Michael Irvin wasn't in a good place during the film of that movie.
No, I didn't know that.
I didn't either until afterwards. And then, I think he had missed a couple of days. And so, man, everybody was out looking for him, ended up finding him. And I think he got his stuff straightened out. I mean, he was one of my favorite receivers of all time. But back in the day, he's gone a few hard times. How did you end up getting your part? Because back in the day, most of us wrestler guys, I think me and Goldberg for sure, probably Kevin Nash, were represented by a guy named Barry Bloom. I can't remember who was it. Dilip Singh, I can't remember who was representing him. But all of a sudden they put out this casting call and knew because it was going to be the longest yard, they needed some big guys. And a couple of guys from the wrestling world would be good for some of these parts, in theory. They weren't heavy on the dialogue. Obviously, there's going to bring in a couple of high-level football players in the form of Brian Bosworth, Bill Romanowski. I got to get your opinions on those guys because, man, Romanowski, holy smokes.
Wow.
So all of a sudden we go down there. I go down to right down the street here to Sony or wherever Happy Madison in, and we go out there and I do my read, for Guard Dunham. And I just went in there and I was like full force, kind of like in wrestler mode. I think I just quit the wrestling business. I was wearing my goatee and all that stuff. And all of a sudden I get a call. They said, hey man, you got the part. And I said, cool. And they said, but we need you to shave that goatee off. Prison regulations. I figured, hey man, I'm Stone Cold Steve Austin. They're going to let me slide, right? They're going to let me go in with this goatee. And they said, no man, this movie is done by regulations. It's the real deal, right? And so you're playing in their world. And this is my first acting gig. And so, man, I shave all my shit off from here down. Man, I look like a punk. Well, my wife said I look like a cop. But anyway, so I get the part. We go to Santa Fe. It's my first movie set, man. I'm memorizing my lines, a few that I got. And holy smokes, dude. We got to Santa Fe, and me and Kevin Nash started drinking. We drank so much, and I know you heard these stories because I don't think people believed how much two human beings could drink an alcohol. Every single night. And then finally we finished in Santa Fe. We took it back here to L.A.
And that's where the party really started.
Right.
That's when you guys bought the Blandards. And I still remember the fucking coolers coming back there and you guys, because they had us and you guys in the same row at El Camino College. They had Nelly, everybody else on the other side in bigger trailers. And that side was, I mean, Adam wouldn't even walk back there. Like, he was like, I don't even want to go back there. He goes, last time I went back there, I smelled marijuana. Then Goldberg would rip the door off every day. His door wouldn't shut, so he'd rip it off the hinges and throw it. I was me who was breaking the door on purpose. So he would rip it off the hinges.
Well, what was your thoughts on Adam Sandler? Because had you guys crossed paths, I mean, you both come from the same stand-up world.
Never met him, never saw him. And between you and I and this table and the people I'm going to tell, I did not think he was amusing. I had nothing against him. I came from a stand-up world where it was a little harder hitting comedy, and I thought he was soft. I didn't know who Adam Sandler was to the day of the table read. When I arrived at Sony and my door opened, Adam Sandler took my luggage out of my car and carried it up the stairs with flip-flops on. Flip-flops. A grown millionaire with shorts on and flip-flops. And we went upstairs and they told me to eat. When I saw that buffet, I was like El Duque. Remember El Duque, the Cuban pitcher? He said the first time he went into the Yankee clubhouse, he saw all that food, he started crying. He had never seen that much food in his life.
Right.
And that's I walk in a room and there's Michael Irvin, you, Buffalo Bill.
William Fichtner?
Bill Fichtner.
Good actor.
Yeah, great actor. He's still working.
Yeah.
You guys are savage.
Nobody knows who he is, but he's always working.
He's always in the movie.
Yeah, and that's the key.
The guy that killed me the most in that movie was the little guy from The Warriors. As soon as I saw him, I was like, what the hell have I done here?
At the end of the day, Adam Sandler was the bottom line because, I mean, he kind of co-directs anything he does anyway because he's the man. But I'll never forget, when I saw the first cut of that or, the end product, whatever it was, man, I was in full wrestler mode. I was way over the top. And I'm like, no one ever told me nothing. They, we'd do the scene a couple times, we'd get the other person's coverage and we'd move on. But, now when I watch that movie back, I was like, God, I was so loud. When the camera's up close, Joey, you back off, or you just, you don't need to be turned up to a 10 all the time. And I felt like I was yelling the whole movie, which I didn't need to yell. And I was like, man, I wish someone would have told me, hey, Steve, back it down a little bit, because I wasn't an actor. I'd never studied I'd taken an acting class. I just knew my lines. But I was like, dude, direct me, help me out. I'm the green guy here. So I was just mad about my performance because I thought I could have used some better, quite frankly, direction, instruction.
What did you think of the finished product when you first saw it?
Well, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot. And, I'm an Adam Sandler fan, and Bill Fichtner did a great job as, the quarterback for our side. And so I enjoyed it. But, man, when you're trying to, and it was cool that Burt Reynolds was there, but when you're trying to make redo one of the most iconic movies of all time, I mean, The Longest Yard, everybody, Burt Reynolds was the man back in the day. And so you try to remake a movie like that, it's kind of, those are big footsteps to fill. I thought it did a great job and kind of doing a little bit more comedic spin on it because of the characters involved, and with Adam being the lead guy coming from the world of comedy. Yeah, he does serious movies.
When was the last time you watched the original Longest Yard?
Oh, man, I haven't seen the original one in probably, 15 years.
It's time for you to watch it again. It's so weird because I saw that movie at a particular movie theater in the Union City, New Jersey cinema. And there was only 2 movies that I saw in there that brought animals. Like, we were on our chairs.
Right.
1 was Rocky. 2 was The Longest Yard. And I could talk about Enter the Dragons, all the Bruce Lee ones. I saw Tommy the Who there. I saw a million movies in there growing up. Nothing drove us crazier on the walk home than The Longest Yard. Like, I knew people. My mom had a bar, so people who had been in prison hung out at that bar, and I went back and told them about, oh my God, for once, you guys were great, and all this stuff in my head. So when the movie came back up again, I was like, I want in. When I first saw the finished product, I cried.
Really?
I was upset, especially when he put the finger in his mouth and gave the guy the loogie in his ear. Like, I wasn't there that day, or I would have been smacking people if I would have saw that shit. Like, I was just pissed. And then I watched the movie with family, and it's entertainment. And look today, it's on every weekend.
I'll never forget when they cast me that part. I was a running back, and I thought, well, okay, I'm Stone Cold Steve Austin, man. I'm of a stunt double. Well, I get there, I ain't got no stunt double. So I get all padded up. I ain't running in a couple of years, and especially in a football setting. And man, I end up pulling a hamstring. Joey, I can't run very fast. I'm glad you brought up The Exorcist, because I pulled 2 hamstrings in my life. One was in the movie The Longest Yard, because I was running through all those drills. You run through the tires and everything like that for shoot. I was weighing about 275 at that time, dude. I was jacked and drinking a lot. I mean, it's a wonder we didn't explode or burst into flames, because it was hotter than hell. When we came out there to Santa Fe, dude, if you remember, that sun was just beating down on us. Well, hell, my big dumb ass, I'm out there bald-headed. I'm an albino to begin with. I'm very, hypersensitive to the light. So I got these UVA, UVB rays just kicking my ass. The next day I woke up, my head was redder than a dick on a dog. I mean, I was sunburnt. The worst sunburnt I've ever had in my life. And I'm like, well, I can't sell it. Can't let nobody know. So I'm just, now I'm smarting up. I'm using all the damn sunscreen lotions. So anyway, running through the drills, I thought I'd have a stunt double, did not. And I'm over there running up like, God damn, I thought this acting was going to be easy as shit, a little bit tougher than I thought it was going to be. And then a long time ago, going back to your Exorcist days, we'll get back to the movie and we'll shoot the breeze and move on. Exorcist first came out, just like you said, and I'm 53, because you're a little bit ahead of me. What are you?
I'll be 55 on Monday.
Okay, so you got by 2 years. And how old were you when you saw that?
10.
Okay, so I was 12. I was at my best buddy's house over in Edna, Texas, town of 5,000 people. I lived about 5 blocks from my buddy, kind of zigzag down these blocks. This is in Edna, Texas. It is darker than shit. I mean, just black. And I just seen The Exorcist, Linda Blair. Just an incredible movie. Spin her head in a 360. Stab herself in the crotch with a crucifix. Spit up the pea soup on the preacher. Levitate out of the bed. I mean, dude, that movie scared the shit out of me. So I'm walking home. I'm this big bad son bitch, right? Been lifting weights and stuff like that. It started back in the day. But, of course, you're tough as nails. And then, I got to this one corner, Joey. This was the darkest, blackest street in Edna, Texas. And I got to walk straight through that sumbitch. And I'm thinking, I'm looking to the left. I'm looking to the right. I said, God damn, Linda Blair's up in there waiting on me. I took off, I swear to God, Joey. It's straight up shoot. I don't know how fast I was running as far as miles per hour, but it was as fast as my stubby little legs could take my ass. And right before I got into the corner where the lamppost was, I pulled up and I'd pulled my hamstring in my right leg from running like a mother, from seeing that scary ass movie and being in the dark. That's how bad that movie scared me.
That movie, you could sit there I talk about it almost every 3 weeks. How good that movie is with somebody. And they go, I just watched it. I can't believe I never saw that before.
Another movie scared the shit out of me. And I live 1 mile from the water here in Pacific Ocean. But I've never really been a true water guy, although I grew up skiing down there in South Texas in the Intercoastal Canal. But goddamn, dude, one of the first and only movies my family ever went to was in Victoria, Texas. I mean, because, we're middle class. I mean, we used to go to a lot of movies. But on this movie, Jaws had just came out, dude. I guess, what was that, 77, 76? I don't remember what it was. But nonetheless, we all went to the theater. Dude, Jaws, I mean, this wasn't a horror movie. It was, what would you call that? It's not an action adventure. It's just a movie about a big-ass shark in the water for people up. Dude, that movie, when that lady was first out there swimming, I think they were going to go out there and start skinny dipping.
When they were partying.
Yeah, and the guy never made it out in the water, and the chick swims out there, and then all of a sudden she gets pulled down like a cork. And then all of a sudden, I think a leg gets severed and starts going to the bottom or whatever, and she gets dragged around, and boom, she's gone. And it's like, holy shit. Dude, I was damn near straight up scared to take a bath in a bath of water because of that damn shark.
I'm Cuban. And I don't jump in. I go up to the beach to my fucking knees. I go to the beach a lot with the baby.
Right.
But those days of going under and all that stuff, especially now, I go up to my knees, and even then you don't know what's going to happen. If I do go in, as soon as one of those leaves touch my legs, one of those little corals that swim around, I run out of there.
People ask me all the time, say, man, why don't you take up surfing? Because, Sandler would go surfing with Romanowski and people like that during the Longest Yard. And I was like, dude, man, I said, I got a pretty good set of legs on me. It'd be a choice meat for a big-ass shark. I said, there's going to be a lot of things that happen to me in my life, but getting my leg bit off while I'm trying to surf ain't going to be one of them, so I just avoid the water. I ain't down with it.
I like everything, but I'm like you. And then let me tell you the worst thing about that. That movie was either shot or it's supposed to be off the coast of Long Island, Montauk, New York. When I was a kid, a guy I knew had a house up in Amity, which is real close to that place.
Yeah.
And I remember going, at that time I had been to the beaches in Cuba, obviously. I don't remember them. I had been to the beach in Coney Island, and I had been down the Jersey Shore. I had never been to out there. And that was the first time that the beach wasn't even a beach yet. It was ooky.
Yeah.
It was cloudy. You would see crabs walking backwards and frontwards on the beach, shells everywhere. And I'm like, you could tell. And that's where they have the most entrance and exit of great whites. When they come up, I guess that's the canal.
Right.
I don't know. I'm not a scientist. You asked me something earlier that I wanted to tell you. The most dangerous guy in that movie was Bill Romanowski. Because you never know what's going to happen about him. But I had a saving grace.
Or you were playing on the same side with him? No.
No. My best friend.
Were you on offensive line?
Yes.
Okay, he was defense. Okay.
What saved me was that one of his best friends is one of my best friends. We grew up together. We're Cuban. And he played safety at Boston College with Romanowski. That's the only thing that saved me with him. That was my in with him. As soon as he saw me, he goes, Coco, and we started talking, and that made it easier. But I don't know if you remember that little Italian dude on the set. There was a guy that was a guard. That was a little Italian dude, 5'11". He was on the developmental squad of the New England Patriots. He hurt 3 people on that set. He just hit. He was the perfect size. There's something about a big guy hitting you 6'4", about Jack Lambert. But there's also something about a safety. One of those safeties that's just a little bit stronger. He whacked the guy. The one guy was walking around with the elbow, and he hurt somebody's leg. One of those Mike Irvin type catches, he pounded him. And if you watch that movie over, that scene where Romanowski's supposed to hit me, that started off as a joke. I had my helmet on, and Romanowski was there, and the kid was there. And Coach, who was a great guy, goes, who do you want to get tackled from? And I go, I seen what this Italian dude's been doing the whole week. If it's between you two, I'd rather get hit by Romanowski. I wouldn't have said that in front of Romo. The cocaine and whatever else was in my mind the night before made me say that, and he took it personally. That was the first time ever that I don't know what was going to happen there. He started hitting me. Remember, there's a scene where I catch the ball and he hits me. And then he hit me the first time, and he goes, and he looked at me, and he goes, now you rather get hit by that pussy or something? And I go, no, I'm surprised this is all you got. And the next scene, he came out again, bam, and knocked me down. But I was like, I've been hit worse. I got up and I go, that's the best you got? Jesus, how did you play in the NFL? And then if you see that last one, he made my helmet turn around. That's the one that hit my spine, and I got electric shocks. And after that, I even got up again, and I go, that's the best you got? And Peter Segal goes, that's enough.
So it was a DB or Romanowski hitting
It was
you?
Romanowski slamming me.
That guy was about as intense as you could get. And, the one thing, him spitting in that dude's face, I mean, first of all, he was an outstanding player, but he could be construed as a dirty player. I got along great with him.
Me too.
But I'll tell you what, man, all of a sudden you get out there and Adam Sandler's a quarterback, or he's going through the, whatever, doing the snap count and handing the ball off. Man, I'm looking at Romanowski, I'm thinking, holy shit, because you can see Romo's a smart guy.
He's
a very smart guy. And good looking guy. He's kind of got those eyeballs that just kind of squint at you. But dude, all of a sudden, as soon as they started barking him signals, Romo's eyes got about this big, and he was a predator, and he could see every single thing on the field. And I'm just watching his eyes, because he was an outstanding football player. When that dude's scanning the field, it kind of goes like back to Predator. Remember when the Predator, he's scanning something up, he's marking distance, he's putting the crosshairs on it. That's like Romanowski. I'm thinking, holy shit, I'm a pretty tough guy. figuratively speaking. I don't want to get drilled by Romanowski because I'm thinking he's going to go full shoot mode and just cripple my ass. Well, we was on the same side, but you know what I'm saying. He was the guy. I thought he was just going to crank on somebody. And then if you remember the second or whatever last play of the, it might have been the last play, because Burt Reynolds comes back for the cameo and he's going to make that winning touchdown and, pay homage or give him his respects. And the whole thing, because he's got to go through Romo.
Romo, right.
And I was thinking, is Romo's ego going to be so great that he can't let Burt Reynolds score on him and he's just going to drill Burt? And Burt was about 72 at this time, give or take. Because today he would be about 81, or is 81 because he's the same age as my dad. But I thought he was going to kill Burt Reynolds. And he was talking about Burt Reynolds a while ago at the table read. Talking to you like he'd known you for 20 years.
Man.
Dude, we got there. We'd been filming for a while. Burt comes on the set. I think he was dealing with some bike issues at the time, with the pain pills. And it's like, man, there he is. You remember how cool Dom DeLuise was?
Remember when they came that day? That's right.
Dude, that guy was such a sweetheart and was so nice to me. But, dude, there's Burt, man, a legend. And, all the movies that he did from Sharky's Machine to Smokey and the Bandit, to all this stuff. I was a huge Burt Reynolds fan, so now's my chance to get a chance to meet the guy. And, you've been around for a while, Joey. When you meet some people and all of a sudden you stick out your hand, hey, I'm Joey Diaz or I'm Steve Austin or whatever, and they just blow you off like a piece of shit. That's what I was expecting. Dude shook my hand, and we didn't have a long-winded conversation, but we talked for about 2 or 3 minutes, and it was as gracious as he could have been. I was like, thank God, one of my childhood heroes was super cool to me. So it was great to meet the man that I'd looked up to for so many years doing all those movies that he did. Because, at one time, dude, he was the #1 box office attraction in the world. So he turned out being cool.
Like I said, you put on the beginning of The Longest Yard. I'm not advocating anything or anything. This movie was made in 1974. It was a different America. He has a beige two-tone jacket on. He smacks a woman, chokes her, steals her car, gets in the car, and to add insult to injury, the song playing is Mr. Saturday Night by Leonard Skinner. What would the world be like today if that plane wouldn't have gone down? You don't even want to think about that. I tell people all the time, the Beatles, what would have happened if Leonard Skinner was blowing everybody out? Ted Nugent couldn't follow him. They destroyed the Stones and Nebworth. What if Leonard Skinner would have kept going? We would have been one redneck badass country right now. If you don't believe me, when we finish this podcast, if you really want to see what it's about, put on Leonard Skinner Live. I think it's 1970 something from Oakland. That little chubby motherfucker comes out singing. And listen, my wife's from Tennessee. I have all the right to say this. They eat squirrels. They're rednecks. I married her because I love rednecks. When I was a kid, I was such a Houston Oilers fan and such a Dallas Cowboy fan that lived in a closet because all my friends were Giant fans. Yeah. I loved everything about Tom Landry. I loved everything about the Cowboys. I loved everything about Moses Malone. I was a New Yorker that should have been a Texan. I loved the University of Texas. I loved Texas A&M when I was a kid. I was all Texas. I would watch the Houston Oilers games on Monday nights, and they would be banging the little white things and shit. And I would go, look at those crazy fucking people. Someday I'm going to be in fucking Texas, So when I say redneck, I mean it from the bottom of my heart.
You're listening to another classic episode of The Steve Austin Show, only on PodcastOne.
Did somebody say playoffs? NBA and NHL are in full swing, and our partners at BetOnline have you covered. Get in on all the action, including a new NBA playoff bracket contest that gives you more chances to win. Major League Baseball continues to push through the summer, and there's no shortage of ways to get in on the action as BetOnline has hundreds of odds, futures, and props for you to bet on. Take advantage of every sport, and remember, our casino never closes. It's always there for you to check out and enjoy. Head to the website today and sign up to receive your welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, your online sportsbook experts.
This is the Steve Austin Show.
Well, tell me about L.A. How long you been here?
I've been here 20 years.
Damn. How was the transition for you coming over the East Coast?
No, I came from Seattle.
Seattle?
I left New York in 83. I went to Aspen, Colorado. For some reason, I went back to New York, got into it heavy. It was a long 18 months, ended up homeless, left, went back to Colorado, started all over again. 88, did a little time, came out. 90, got into comedy in 91. 90, got married, divorced, went to Seattle to develop as a comedian. And then I got a deal to move to LA. I never dreamed of LA. I always just wanted to be, if comedy could have just saved my life from what I was doing, I was good. I could sleep in a car. That shit doesn't bother me. I didn't need to be rich. I didn't need to be in TV. When CBS contacted me to do that, I was like, I'll do it and I'll move to Colorado. And then if I was be an extra, I was going to be happy. Like I was one of those guys. I didn't have any false, if I'm an extra, I'll be happy, you know. And now I have a daughter. You know, now I don't live that crazy lifestyle anymore. I got no regrets. I miss it. I miss that lobby at the Hotel Santa Fe. And there's a lot of places I want to move to. My wife has family. I have no family. So what am I going to go to Jersey and New York for? I want to move somewhere with that daughter, you know. So I have family in Paducah. I have family in Bradford, Tennessee. And I have family in Nashville. And then my family. Her family's my. In fact, I speak more to her niece than she does. My wife always goes, you and her are like a team. I want to be close to them. I want to be back in as ironic and as many fucks and shit as I said, I want to be back around good, God-fearing Christians. That's a big word in my world. God-fearing Christians that believe in what we believe in. You know what else I learned that night when I watched The Exorcist?
Oh, mushrooms?
Yeah. The Exorcist lives in two places. He lives in Africa, part-time.
Yeah.
And then when it snows there, he comes to LA the other half of the year. That's why you got the floods and the fires and the Lee Harvey Weinsteins and all these shit people, you know. And no matter whether you live in the Valley, Woodland Hills, you still have contact with these people in some way or another. And you're going to see they're not the people you had in Victoria, Texas. They're acquaintances, but they're not your people, you know. When I go to Tempe, Arizona, or Minneapolis, and I'm not saying anything bad, people always say to me, do you want to get high? Do you want to smoke pot? You know, and that's great. I love it. I love that they have the hospitality. But guess what happens when I go to Lexington, Kentucky, when I go to Nashville? Guess what happens when I go to Austin? Not even Austin, like Houston. People invite me to their homes for a meal. I don't go 9 out of 10 times. I really don't know you, but I want you to think of the mentality I'm trying to explain to you. I like the South. I've always liked that thing. I don't know what that thing. I'm Cuban. I'm a Cuban redneck. You see the cars in Cuba? We use more duct tapes than rednecks. We showed the rednecks how to do duct tape work, okay? They come to Cuba to learn all that shit. You know, I just want to go back there. Where? I don't know. I really love Lexington. I love Louisville. You know, they got 4 Cuban restaurants in Louisville. You know, I think Nashville is beautiful, but it's become a little bit LA-ish, just a little bit LA-ish. I could live outside of Nashville.
Yeah, but talk about getting out of the business or you still be in the business as much as you want to be in it. But once you leave here, you know, right now you're local. You're local, man. You can go to any meeting you want to go to, this, that, or whatever. You kind of get your finger on the pulse because you're here. Then all of a sudden you get there, man, I guarantee you can have some separation anxiety. Because everybody talks about the dude across the street that runs that liquor store. He always talks, he's been here, he lives on a boat in the marina. He goes, Steve, I can ask him about any kind of whiskey, liquor, vodka, wine, beer, whatever. He can tell me about it all. He knows his shit. And he's always telling me, Russian guy, he says, man, me and my friends been talking about getting out of L.A. for 30 years. You know, or all these years later, we're still here talking about getting out. So it's one thing to talk about. It's a whole other thing to do it. You know, because I got my exit strategy too. But can you deal with the separation anxiety? We'll lift your head up.
I think Chappelle does great. I see Chappelle a lot. He lives in Ohio. I think that I do. I like my life. You know what I like about my life, man? That I learned how to finally separate it. That's big in your life. That's very big in your life. And I got to tell you something. I learned a lot about entertainment when I watched you and Kevin Nash. Nobody is a more all-around entertainer than a professional wrestler. When I was a kid and I watched Teru Tanaka and Mr. Fuji and Chief J. Strongbow, they entertained me and they made me laugh. I learned something from watching you guys. First off, in all the different situations we were in with Adam and parties, I never saw one of you guys say no to an autograph. There weren't a lot of pictures back in 94 and 2000, in 2004 yet. But I saw how you guys were. The wrestlers are all-around entertainers. It's an education being a wrestler. You weren't prepared for it either. I guarantee you. You know how you said about acting? You were allowed? Well, go look at your footage from your first 3 fights. I bet you don't like those either. No, but that's a complete different animal. Now, how long were you involved in professional? How many years? I just need to know. I mean,
man, I probably lasted, solid 13 years.
And you learned a lot about people in those 13 years. You learned that to build up your fan base, you got to love them back.
Oh, yeah, man.
There's
a relationship there.
So when I saw you and Kevin Nash, and there was one other guy on that set that got a lot of attention at that time, and how you guys dealt with it, that's big. Now you got to go home. Hey, can we take a picture? Now you go home and your 5-year-old doesn't give a fuck about you. And when you do put a TV show on, or you wrestling, she goes, I don't want to watch that, Daddy. You learn how to separate your moments. Listen, I love doing comedy. And on Saturday night, once I get off that stage and that check is in my pocket, the weekend is over. Don't be bothering me for shit. It's over. I go back to my room. All I'm thinking about is going back to my family on Sunday morning. First flight out. Sunday dinner with your family is the most important thing of the week. I don't give a fuck if you go out and hang out with Lee Harvey Weinstein the next 6 days of the week for dinner. But if you eat Sunday dinner with your family and your children and you break bread, that's big, man. That's big where I come from. I didn't have that growing up. My mom had a bar. We ate, but I want that for my family.
You're listening to another classic episode of The Steve Austin Show, only on PodcastOne.
Did you know that right now Geico is offering an extra 15% credit on car, motorcycle, and RV policies? That's 15% on top of the money Geico could already save you. So what are you waiting for? Your dog to make you breakfast in bed? With Belgian waffles and a fresh fruit compote? As nice as that sounds, that's probably never going to happen. But at least there's never been a better time to switch to Geico. Save an extra 15% when you switch by October 7th. Visit geico.com to learn more. So when are you going to go down and spend more time in Scott, Tennessee and the Kentucky area as well?
Kentucky. I like Kentucky. Something about Kentucky. And Lexington is rocking and rolling.
Hey, but let me smarten you up because I know you've been around. You traveled the world. You've done a lot of shit. But there ain't no bluegrass.
Okay.
It's green.
It's green.
But they call it the bluegrass thing. I love that. It's one of the best gimmicks in the world, but it don't make sense because I've been in every single town over there, wrestling the big towns and the little towns. I ain't never seen no bluegrass yet.
I even thought about Texas. I thought about not Victoria or not Corpus.
Too far south.
Too far south?
I mean, I dig it because of where I'm from, but would you
move back there tomorrow? Would you move back to Victoria tomorrow?
No, man, I'm looking at Nevada.
Are you?
Yeah.
Inside of Vegas or?
I'm looking outside of Reno.
Okay.
I'm looking in the high desert. What I worry about. I never thought I'd worry about things like this, Joey. Anywhere in Nevada, you got to be leery of water. And I think Reno maybe has better water rights as far as trying to buy property. But, when you look down how many states are sucking off the Colorado River? 7, 8? Vegas, man, all them damn water features, all the bullshit and all the golf courses, man. Sometimes I sit there and think, man, I never thought back when I was a kid, taking a shower, hey, man, I'm wasting a shitload of water taking this big-ass shower. These days, I think about stuff like that.
I do, too.
So anyway, and I have family in the Reno area. So that's the biggest thing. My wife's brother and her nieces are out there. I think Vegas is cool as shit, but I think Reno, with respect to hunting and stuff like that, their tax laws, their gun laws are a lot like Texas. So Texas, when we sold our ranch last year, whatever it was, then that's 1,500 miles there, 1,500 miles back. Where we're looking over there, it's 430 miles there and back. So man, that's a 7-hour drive compared to, damn near 20. So it makes a lot of sense for me logistically to be able to come and do some things in L.A., but then to get out of L.A. and get over there and just, people over there leave you alone.
That was a thought that I had, somewhere close, and I'm still close, but not close enough.
Right.
I just don't know if I want to move to Vegas. I have a dear friend I grew up with in Vegas, and he always sells me on Vegas.
I like Vegas. My little brother was considering Vegas, but I'm looking at Reno. Hey, can I go back? Can I backtrack with you? Man, you said during the filming of the Longest Yard, you still coked up.
Not in the daytime, at night.
So what was your deal, man? I mean, because I know, man, you've been on Rogan's podcast forever.
My deal was
been doing your thing. What was up?
That was the tail end of a 30-year addiction. That was a tail end of at that time my addiction was very quiet. It was very personal. I kept it low. I bought it from the first 4 weeks in Santa Fe. I didn't do dick. Adam had a party, and I went down there and I met some girl, and she got me a package. And I only did 2 packages in Santa Fe, but once I came up here, I was doing it 6 nights a week.
Now, when you're talking about a package, you're talking about a gram?
Yeah,
about
gram, whatever.
Okay.
If I had enough for a gram or 2, whatever. And I would I would snort till 3, and then get in the car at 4:30, drive down there. We had to be there at 5:45 for the tattoos and the wardrobe.
Yep.
And I would pray to God that I could sleep 2 or 3 hours. I'd breathe my sleep apnea machine. But towards the end of the Longest Yard, I was just, I went another 2 or 3 years, but that was the tail end. That was, addiction that drug addiction was a long one. It was 30 years. But it went from partying with 6 people in a room, and I didn't want nobody around.
Right.
I didn't want nobody to see me. So I would go in, to the Hotel Santa Fe, and I would order the kids spaghetti and cheese, macaroni and cheese. It was the size. It was like from Michael Irvin. Do you remember Michael Irvin eating at the hotel with no shirt on? I still remember being at this Hotel Santa Fe, and we wrapped for like 3, and he came in one night with no shirt on. He's like, "You guys eating? I might as well eat with you." And we all ate the kids' macaroni and cheese. So at that time, it was the tail end of it. It was really, and it took me, that was 2004. I quit completely November 8th of 2007. So I just had my 10-year anniversary.
What was the final come to Jesus meeting when you said, "Hey man, in this shit, there's no future"?
I didn't want that fucking girl from the South to find me on the floor. I don't give a if I was your roommate, you find me on the floor, you're just another fat ass. You've seen deer on the floor and elk. You could deal with that shit. She didn't deserve that. She would never recover from that. She loved me that much. I did not want her to find me on the floor, and I was starting to get twitches in my spine. I would get electrical shocks, like on the top of my spine, and I just knew it wasn't gonna, and I got a movie, and they told me, "We know about your problem, and we want you to think about you taking this movie before," and I said, "If they know, everybody knows. I have to stop." And that was it. No rehab. No meetings, no hugs.
Just willpower.
This is men. This is what men do.
Right.
This is what men do. Men sit down and say, "Today it ends." And for 2 weeks, I took Xanax at 6 at night just so I wouldn't get the shakes at 8. But after about a month, I was like, okay, I beat this. And then another month. I still smoke my reefer. If I'm on a plane and you buy me a Doers and 7, I'll drink one. But that's it. That's as far as it goes. That's it. I'll eat a pot. I love eating reefer cookies and all that stuff and seeing the devil. Like I said, a couple of weeks ago, I bit off a mushroom, but Xanax, Vicodins, all that. I was never a big pill guy. I've never been a big pain pill guy or nothing. When I get my surgeries now, I give them away to my friends that like that stuff.
I'm your friend, Joey. What's you gonna get worked on next?
I'm working on a movie called, I'm working on a TV show called I'm Dying Up Here, Jim Carrey's show about the Comedy Store. But between you and I, brother, I'm just doing stand. I really fell in love with stand-up again. I love this art that we're doing right now, the art of podcasting. Just two guys bullshitting. And I'm trying to be a dad. That's it.
How long you been doing your podcast?
5 years.
I was talking to the dude that built your studio the other day.
Kevin.
Yep.
How's he doing?
He's doing good. I've been meaning to go check him out and do his podcast, and he said he's going to come over and help me out. And
he's phenomenal.
He's
Kevin,
wonderful.
I've been trying to get a hold of him because Maria, I hope she's better.
She's good. She's good.
And then I saw that he got married, and I tried calling him, but I don't know if that's his phone anymore. I felt really bad because I just never, we lost contact.
Yeah.
We just lost contact. In fact, I might stop by. Is he in the studio lately?
Oh, man, that's a good question. I don't know, but I was talking to him probably 2-3 weeks ago. Talking about hooking up, and he's going to help me out and get this place dialed in because, man, dude, this is about the lowest technology podcast.
No, but it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
You ever do Jay Moore's show?
Which one?
You ever do Jay Moore's podcast?
No.
Oh, man, he's over, well, he was in Palisades. If he's still there, man, I rolled in. I didn't know, when I first got into business, I didn't know what it was going to be like. And so I get a chance to be on Jay's podcast. There's a dude out there, and he's either weed eating, or he's got a blower, or he's mowing. What's the day, Joy? Is it Friday?
Friday.
Today's Friday. Normally, all these motherfuckers around here get the yard done on Wednesday. But for today, just because Joey Coco Diaz comes over, this dude's got to do his shit on Friday. Why you got the system? I got a little 12-pound dog, barks his head off. That's why I got all the doors shut. My dogs can't even come over here. I'm trying to, this podcast ain't never going to win an NPR award for quality, sound quality, podcast host quality.
You're phenomenal.
Nothing. I ain't winning shit. But when Joey Coco Diaz shows up here, so notice I'm doing your last name twice. We're boxing here, Joey. And this motherfucker got to bust out some lawn equipment with the supercharger on it, completely disrespecting my guest here today.
I want to ask you something. You said that when you were on the longest yard, you were drinking a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Oh, dude, I mean, you kidding me? That was my game.
There was you, Kevin, the coach, and the quarterback coach. And I'll never forget, because if you remember, they fed us at the hotel, and then we could go on the set, and they'd cook the good guy, Tony, whatever.
Right.
Would cook for you again. Remember Dilip used to eat 45 eggs a day or something like that? Hard-boiled eggs a day. So I would eat and then go on the set and eat again and eat again. I was 400 pounds. But I'll never forget one morning waking up and there was a lounge for the kitchen. First off, okay, so the flute guy went missing. Somebody picked him up and asked him not to come back. And then if you remember, the bar was a 3-seat bar, 3 seats at the bar, with a little TV, and then you guys had to sit around. Well, one morning I woke up and it's like you guys had just left because there was, I have to say, no exaggeration, 60 empty beer bottles, empty, with labels ripped off. You know, when people are drinking, they take labels off. They were just all, I'm like, it had to be these fucking savages. And then I heard a rumor that somebody actually broke into the bar one night and took booze. All right, and that was crazy.
I don't know who that could have been.
I'm like, these motherfuckers are crazy. And then one night, about a week later, I got a knock on my door. And I like to say it was either you or Kevin Nash. And they said, hey, give us the booze in your room. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And they're like, we'll buy all the booze in your mini bar. You said you don't drink, right? I go, no, take it. And it was like $200 worth. They gave me $200. They took every little airplane bottle of booze in the mix.
The liquor sales went up in Santa Fe the whole time we were there.
And you guys went out every night?
No, we went out. I didn't go out, man.
You just stayed in the hotel?
Loungeless, man. I go down that lounge.
You guys were in the lounge.
Yeah, dude, because all I got to do is walk to my room. I ain't getting behind the wheel or nothing.
No.
And so, man, I go down there and do my thing. Nash would show up. I mean, we'd hang out, and then we'd just get ripped. And then we get up and go to the gym in the morning or after work the next day and then hit the bar and just start it over again. And man, it just, it was just a vicious cycle. I remember, when we came to L.A., we started off in Santa Fe, then we came to L.A., and they got us a crib over there at the Homewood Apartments.
That's right. You guys were on this side.
Yeah.
That's right. Okay.
So right over in the marina. And all of a sudden, they had rented us all like a Ford Explorer. And that was our rental vehicle. And we're driving all around L.A. back and forth to the set. I was training over at the World's Gym. Where I just introduced you to my wife a while ago before we started. And I met her. I didn't have my game because, when I auditioned for that part, I had this goatee. And like I said, they made me shave it off, regulation style mustache like a prison guard would have. So I'm trying to throw my rap down on my wife in the gym, and I ain't got my, dude, if I take this goatee off, man, I just lost my mojo. So now I gotta re-up my game here with just a stash. So I'm coming up to my wife with half a game. You know what I'm saying? My confidence was gone. Nonetheless, it worked. But we're still together 14 years later. But we'd go out to eat. Mexican food is my favorite food to eat. And so we go eat at a Mexican food restaurant or something like that. And I had so much shit. I had Red Bull cans, water bottles, beer cans. My car, I swear to God, Joey, you could fill up 2 or 3 hefty bags with all the empty cans that was in my damn truck. And when I met my wife, I was carrying my bills around in a hefty trash bag. That's the kind of caveman life I was living. And she'd get in, and my wife taught special education for 25 years. She's got 2 degrees. She's a very smart, cool, badass, independent chick. And all of a sudden, she gets in with my sorry ass and all this shit blowing around in the car. And I'm thinking, man, as smart as she is, I can't believe she's still hanging around because she wasn't even a wrestling fan. One of her special ed students brought a WWF calendar to the classroom, and they hung it up, and she flipped the page, and all of a sudden, there I am. My buddy ran the gym at the office, and they were friends. They'd been friends for 10 years. And me and Dan were training partners. And she goes up to me and she goes, Dan, is that Stone Cold Steve Austin guy? And then Dan says, well, yeah, it is. And she said to him, well, do you think he'd come read to my kids? I don't know. Go ask him. Anyway, that's how we started talking. I ended up taking a book down there and reading to her damn kids. 14 years later, we're happy as a lark. I can't believe she stuck with me. I thought she'd been smarter than that.
No, we all change. You got better. You didn't get older. You got better.
I don't know about that, Joey.
Yeah, we get better.
Hey, the question, music-wise, man, you're dropping out some heavy Southern bands. Skinnerd. I love her tone, her sound, Molly Hatchet, stuff like
Molly
that.
Hatchet.
If you're coming out of, Jersey, New York area, how were you listening to that?
There was somebody else, not Molly Hatchet. Well, there was Molly Hatchet. All right. I went to see Frank Marino, Mahogany Rush, Ted Nugent, Aerosmith, and somebody else. And they were one of those, like, Southern twist bands. And then I got into Molly Hatchet a little bit. But then I heard, give me back my bullets. My thing wasn't Freebird. My thing was none of those. I went and bought Give Me Back My Bullets.
Right.
And I was hooked. I was just hooked. My mom was Cuban, and she always played Johnny Cash at the bar. I don't know why. She died before I could ask her. But she always played Johnny Cash. In the heat of my drug game, when I was going to New York concerts, New York City concerts, I'm talking about, the Ramones, the Pretenders, Van Halen, Rod Stewart. Nobody showed up with more pussy. Nobody. Listen to me. Nobody showed up with more pussy than Kenny Rogers. I've never seen someone, you could smell vagina in the air at a Kenny Rogers concert. And I'm like, this motherfucker's on to something. All these long-haired dudes, yeah, they get these little pretty young little chicks, the dirty little white chicks. But this Kenny Rogers had every age in there. He had 80 women. He had 80-year-old women with breasts that they got redone like in the 20s. Their tits were made out of wood, like those type of. He had women of every age. I never seen anything like that. And I loved Kenny Rogers. Like I loved him. The Fourth Edition, the Fifth. What's the band he was with somebody before he went solo. And I got to listen to him at my mother's bar.
Right.
His voice. And when Kenny Rogers was coming to New York, I think I went to see him in Jersey. I never saw so many beautiful women in my life. Beautiful. Just country, beautiful women. And I was like, I gotta hang out with these chicks. This is my world. So even now, what's a chick that fell in Tennessee?
Oh.
And cut her face open?
Yeah, Carrie Underwood.
There's not too many better looking women than that around. Like all those country singer girls are just gorgeous. The other one, the one that Tug McGraw's wife,
Yeah, Faith Hill.
Faith Hill? Come on, dog. You can't deal with that.
Are you into country music at all?
The new stuff, no. I think it's gotten a little bit too pretty boyish for me. And when I watch the Country Music Awards, I get a little upset. I want to see hats. I want to see a sweatband on the hat. If I see a little stain under the shirt that you came from the farm before you played, I ain't mad at you. I want to shake your hands, and I want to feel a little dirt on your hands. You ever shake somebody's hands in Texas, and they haven't washed them in a week, and you're like, oh, my God. But that's what I want to – I don't know, the new country look. I love Wesley Wheeler Walker. I've become friends with him. I've opened for him on the road. I think he's phenomenal. I love what he's doing. It's a little bit on the dirty side. But when you see Snoop Dogg singing country music, you got the message. Did you see that video?
No.
Snoop Dogg and a black barber getting his hair braided, singing Wheeler Walker. Get your f***ing dog out of my house. That whole country album he's got, singing it, word for word. Snoop Dogg, you're getting your message across.
I got to check that out. Hey, one thing I want to ask you about before we ride off in the sunset, no matter how long it lasts, but pet peeves, things that bother you here in the city. And I'm going to go ahead and start off because this motherfucking blower out here, nobody in this neighborhood, Joey, has a big yard. You seen my setup. It ain't a big yard. And this guy, he ain't working on my house. He's working on somebody else's house. But nobody has a big yard for the blower to still be blowing since the last time I started talking about this shit. So the noises in here in L.A., normally I try not to podcast during the afternoon on Wednesday because of all the blowers. And this motherfucker stopped since he started 15 minutes ago. And another thing that really chaps my ass is, now that I've already covered that, and I want you to jump in here next, is there's these little things they call birds. I call it a scooter on a stick. It's electric. You got the little handlebars
the
right
kid
here.
that was driving before?
Yeah, I pointed it out to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just talked about those things. Scooter on a stick. I guess you charge them up. They run on electricity. It's one of the greatest inventions I've ever seen. But these motherfuckers run up and down this sidewalk, and like if I walk outside my gate right there, and I get blindsided by one of these kids riding a damn motorcycle, a little scooter on a stick, and all of a sudden a global icon and a national treasure gets sent to the hospital with a broke leg or worse because some kid hit him on a scooter on a stick, has been charged but with electricity. I got a problem with that. Lady was over there the other day. She's riding one of the things down the road. She's from overseas. She's riding it right down the middle of the road. Those things got about a top speed of 16 miles an hour. So all the cars are going around her because it's a 35-mile-an-hour zone, right? Because she's too stupid right on the edge of the road or in the bicycle lane. And she ain't got a helmet on. So anyway, finally, there's a red light. There's a lady parked at the red light because there's a red light. Well, the lady on the scooter on the stick rear ends her and ends up on her back trunk. So the lady puts her car in park. She gets out. Oh, my God, are you okay? And the lady says, yeah, I'm okay. She says, well, you want me to call the cops, call an ambulance, anything? She goes, no, I'm okay. She gets on the scooter on a stick and rides off. Well, she done did some damage to that car in front of her. I don't know what kind of damage, a little 100-pound gimmick can do to the back of a car. But nonetheless, if somebody toughed my shit up, I seen you pull up in a shiny new ride or a nice ride, whatever. If somebody rear ends you, you just going to let them get off scot-free? I think the motherfuckers have got to have a license, wear a helmet, or have some insurance if they get into a damn accident. Absolutely. That really chaps my ass. Does anything in L.A. bother you?
Everything.
Well, give me an example.
I have 1,000 examples for you. People who don't use blinkers.
Oh, dude,
in L.A.,
that's
they don't want to do it. They don't want to do it. They just don't want to do it.
Why, Joey? Why?
Because you're too involved. They're too self-absorbed. No blinkers. You ever been driving down a street and there's cars coming and cars going, but there's a guy with his hazards on and he's unloading his fat grandmother or somebody else, and there's a parking spot that's open right there, but they won't do it. I live in the valley. So again, we have to go to Hollywood. How many times have you hit Hollywood? There's no traffic, and all of a sudden you hit a block and there's a ton of traffic, and it's because a cop is parked this way with his ass sticking out, and he's talking to some homeless drunk guy. I've actually opened my window and said, hey, come on, what the f*** are you doing? And they look at you like, you did something wrong. No, pull the car over. You're a cop. It's Monday. It's Monday at 9, and you got the car sideways. There's 1,000. It never ends here, the selfishness. It's very selfish here, and it runs from A to Z. That thing with the scooter, let me tell you something. They won't stop till 2 people get hit. That's what you need for them to. When I see, you have to walk around thinking to yourself, you can't be this fucking stupid.
Exactly.
You said something pretty brilliant. You said, it's the greatest invention ever made, which means within a month or two, my main man, Stone Cold Steve Austin, is going to go pick up a scooter. But I guarantee you, he ain't going to be on Washington Boulevard with it. He'll fuck around here with it. He'll put a helmet on. He might even put on knee pads because we're getting to that age. Insurance, elbow pads. But if you're going to take your scooter on Washington Boulevard, I got to be honest with you, in this day and age, you got what's coming to you.
But you're taking life in your own hands, too. Because there are people who ride
coming.
bicycles around here, man. I got a bicycle. I got a little beach cruiser. Me and my wife, we run down here, we take a left, we go to that cul-de-sac, we turn around, we come back.
That's it.
Dude, I'm scared to death.
Yeah, me too.
Put me on a bike lane, and I'm running the same direction as the traffic because you get these idiots, they'll ride against the grain. I understand why they're running against the grain. They don't want anybody to hit them from behind. But still, when you're trying to make a left-hand turn, and all of a sudden you got a bicycle going the wrong way, and you cut them off, they start screaming at you like it's your fault. And that's not your fault, it's their fault.
It's their fault.
Because they're going the wrong way on the wrong sidewalk. So, yeah, I won't even ride my little beach cruiser around because I'm afraid I'm going to get cremated by a car. Joey, I had a West Coast chopper one time when I lived in Malibu. It took them 2 years to build this summit, right? Finally, 2 years later, this van comes to my house. They drop it off. It's beautiful. It's red. It's flames. It's got a big-ass skull on it, long-ass forks, no speedometer, a tail light that big. I get on it. I start it up. I go down the Pacific Coast Highway 3 miles. I do a U-turn, a big-ass U-turn because that long, extended fork, loud-ass exhaust, power, macho horsepower. I'm a bad hell's angel. I bring that bitch up the driveway. My wife says, "How is it?" I said, "It's mother for sale." And she goes, "What do you mean?" I said, "Kristen," I said, "a lot of shit's going to happen to me, but one thing ain't going to happen to me is getting smoked on the PCH by someone in a car." So, I know my shit.
Good for you.
So I got a dirt bike. I got a little.
I'm thinking of buying a dirt bike and taking a truck and hauling it and riding on a property. I'm thinking of doing that. That's why I also want to move and get some property. I was a bike guy growing up. I started with a 50cc Honda XL75, then I had the 80 Yamaha, then I had the 125, then I got the 175, and I was about to get the 250 XL Suzuki, and I was racing. This was way before the Meadowlands, the stadium.
Yeah.
That was wide open, and I was down there, me and my little Italian mafia buddies would go down there with stolen motorcycles. We would steal the motorcycles. The Honda 50s.
Yeah, dude. I remember those. Those are iconic.
The Honda Mini Trail, 3-speed, no clutch.
You're right.
We would steal them off the trains, and then that's how we all started riding motorcycles. I looked back, and I hit, and I got a concussion. And by the time I got home, my mother sold the bike, sold it. Like there wasn't no for sale signs, it was gone. And I haven't ridden a motorcycle since. And I've been thinking about buying like a 125 and just starting up again a little bit.
Dude, you got to go a little bit bigger than, you got to go 250.
No, I haven't ridden a bike in 35 years. I don't know what's going to happen to me. I got to start small.
I was just in New York City the other day, and we were on the way from the building. We were at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn. It was the 25th anniversary of Raw. So we're going to airport, Teterboro, and we passed by. Man, there's there's Meadowlands Arena, and dude, I broke 3 bones in my back in that building. I got dropped on my head, almost paralyzed in that building. I got a lot of memories from that building. And that was just a good building to wrestle in anyway. The Garden's the shit, though. Everybody knows the Garden's the shit.
Yeah.
But there in East Rutherford, New Jersey, the Meadowlands Arena was a really, really cool building. So you was there back in the day before they built that shit up, and y'all was riding motorcycles out there?
So when you went from the Barclays Center, did you go on the George Washington Bridge or the Lincoln Tunnel?
Dude, the dude was driving. I was in the back. So whatever we did,
okay, so
that's what I was watching.
You go through the Lincoln Tunnel. You ever see The Sopranos?
Yeah.
He comes out of Lincoln Tunnel. That's the Lincoln Tunnel.
All right.
That's where I'm from. As soon as you come out Lincoln Tunnel, if you go straight, it's Hoboken.
Yeah.
If you go up around the ramp, it's called Union City, New Jersey. It's the second biggest Cuban population in the country. And then we moved to North Bergen. So East Rutherford was North Bergen, but then as they they built the Meadowlands, they called it, this shit cost that.
God dang, Joey Coco Diaz. Diaz comes to 317 Gimmick Street. We sit there and talk a little bit about the longest yard. Somehow we got into Linda Blair stabbing herself with the damn crucifix, head spin around, spitting pea soup on people, Jaws, a bunch of bullshit, more shenanigans about the longest yard.
Leonard
Skinner, community college, filming the longest yard, sunburnt head, and you was coked up at the time, but you 10 years now. Congrats. Hey, so how do people find your podcast to listen to that, and what kind of gigs do you got coming up next? Where are you going?
They can find the podcast on iTunes and YouTube. I also have Denver next week, which is sold out, and then I'm in Huntsville, Alabama, and I'm going to go check out Huntsville and see what that's about. I got a buddy coming down. I got some friends in Decatur. They're going to come by, and we're going to take a ride, look at some houses, look at some property. I'm going to take a look at Alabama, too.
So you're serious about this?
Yeah, I want to take a look at all those places. Not Birmingham. I've been to Birmingham. I think Birmingham's a little too big. I want community. I want to be part of a community again. So that's it, man. JoeyDiaz.net. It was a pleasure.
Hotel California you can check out, but you can never leave. We'll see if Joey Diaz ends up doing that. Thank you, bro.
I love you. Thank you. It was a pleasure seeing you, and thank you for your fans for asking for me to be on the show.
Thank you for joining us for another classic episode of The Steve Austin Show. Please leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts and tell your friends. For more Steve Austin Show, go to PodcastOne.com. That's PodcastOne.com.
Hi, this is Chris Myers. For more than 3 decades, I've covered some of the biggest events in sports and talked with some of the most fascinating personalities. But now I want to invite you to join me for my new podcast, CMI, the Chris Myers Interview on PodcastOne. Covered a lot of events, World Series, Red Sox, White Sox breaking through at their time, the Super Bowl as recently as Mahomes and the Chiefs coming back against the 49ers. I was there to grab Brady after he had that tremendous comeback against the Falcons in the Super Bowl, and some tough times, the 89 earthquake World Series that rocked the Bay Bridge, and first to talk to O.J. Simpson live after both of his trials and on the air through the 1996 Atlanta Olympic bombings, informing people as best we could at the time. We'll go in-depth on stories past, present, and future to the effect of the world of sports and everybody in and around it, from current athletes, Hall of Famers, and some people you and I know. Hope you tune in to CMI, the Chris Myers Interview on Apple Podcast, PodcastOne, and Spotify.